Good morning. Nice day spent with family. Isn't it amazing? 13-year-old and 16-year-old. I remember my brother holding the 16-year-old who was, as a baby, the length of his forearm. Quite amazing. 16 makes me feel like an old bar steward, that's for sure. Don't forget, if you fancy a bit of Premier League research, just go to footballtradingprofits.com/free trial offer. We'll get you some free Premier League research and the occasional e-letter with some new techniques and strategies. Let's have a look at yesterday. It looked to be a fortuitous day to take off, really. We'll work our way down. Odds on favourites will always get a first look from me because the market's done the work for you. There are no real shocks there unless Westerlo scored first against Union Saint-Gilloise. No problems there. Cercle Brugge, they score first against Ghent. It's always an angle in. The underdog gets the first goal. Working our way down to the Czech One League. This team seemed to pervade some of the Champions League sides yesterday, even though they've not got the Champions League side coming up. We'll get to that a bit later with some of the bigger names. But look at this. Slavia Prague, normally ultra reliable. But this is where insurance does pay off. You'll create for yourself a break even. And if you want to know what insurance is about, take the free trial offer. It can save you a few quid on your trading journey. That's what you expect of a shorty, that kind of performance. In the Premier League, 3 goals for Crystal Palace. A new signing, Eddie Nketiah, a significant forward signing. Eddie Nketiah didn't get on the score sheet, but a real boom for Crystal Palace, finding their goals again. I did get involved at 2-0, I must admit, tempted to get involved at 0-2 because of the reputation for Palace, not really to score 2 goals regularly enough, and we all know about Brighton, but could this be the Christmas schedule starting to bring in some shock results? The Manchester derby, I'll leave the derbies alone, but yet another Manchester City late capitulation. Remember, they were 3-0 up at Feyenoord. And if Manchester United are beating you, you know you're in trouble. Fernandes penalty and Diallo late on. Amon Diallo, late winner. Chelsea were just purring. There was a potential angle with the both teams to score for the Bees, but you wouldn't have got much just for that 2-1. It was a consolation late on. Cucurella, red carded for having hair like Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons, no doubt. Southampton, it's sad to see. The Saints, home of Matt Letizia, Guernsey's finest, absolutely done. Tottenham were threatening this at Rangers. They clicked today against the lower tier side. Well, second half of the league side. Good result for Burnley against Norwich, but at 2.6 the favourite, 2.55 the favourite. Tells you everything you need to know about that. Very, very tough to call. Paris Saint-Germain, one of a rare breed and Brest of Champions League sides, not underperforming yesterday. We'll come to them, particularly in Italy and in Spain. Maybe it's the cold weather, I don't know. Stuttgart, another Champions League side delivering. Dortmund and the Hoff. You could have looked in place stats-wise for a Hoffenheim equaliser, but trusting them after having a recent set of 0-0s. Very difficult indeed. But yet another side just stopping out at 1 goal or even no goals. We'll come to them. Strange day. I don't understand the underperformances from a lot of these big sides. You can see these 0-1s here, the odds on favourites. AC Milan failing to score. Roma scoring 7 goals in the last 2 matches under Claudio Ranieri. But this is another warning to you. New manager syndrome. Like Leicester City, they can't continue the free scoring. Brilliant result for Cesc Fabregas's Como. Could have laid the late 0-0 in the hope that Roma would continue their free scoring ways, but boom, boom, straight in. Great result for Como, will help their season no end. Fiorentina, the winning machine. New note the odds. The market tells 2.7 the favourite. Not expected to continue a comfortable winning way today, Fiorentina, or yesterday. So just be careful. The market does leave clues. AC Milan, another side, an absolute mystery how they did not score. If you have an in-play stats feed, look at the leaning towards the left. 22 goal attempts, 9 corners, 14 shots in the box. Hit the woodwork once. That was the first of the big names to fail to score. How would you have played this, I wonder? I don't know. Laying them very, very late, lay the draw very, very late at 1.25 or lower. Keep your liability low and capture any late goal, which AC Milan did deserve. But sometimes you don't get what you deserve. Ajax, a bit more like it. FC Twente, a bit more like it as well. AZ Alkmaar did come from behind to beat NAC Breda, but their in-play stats were not that efficient. But a good result if you stuck with AZ Alkmaar, renowned for their goals. And you can check out the side's reputation for goals here. So you can have a look at AZ Alkmaar and what they've been doing this season. Go to the goals section here and avoid, well, you've got all these adverts. I'm quite happy now to have the adverts. I'd rather pay for that than membership. You can have a look at AZ Alkmaar, how they've been getting on. 69% overs recently. 88% overs and away from home. AZ Alkmaar, 62%. A slight drop away from home, but an inference that there might be goals, particularly if NAC Breda score first. The red card, was that the catalyst for change? Not really. 76 minutes. Could have laid the very late draw again. I hope you know how to do that now. I would target 1.25 and lower to lay the draw. I would also, if you want to limit your liability even further, start laying the draw at 1.09 and 1.06. Those are my go-to lays. Scotland, Hearts, very poor indeed. Couldn't take advantage of the red card. But this is an absolute mystery as well. 1.11 Barcelona. But this is where insurance really does help, doesn't it? Atletico Madrid just crossing the line with a 1-0. Atletico Bilbao, normal goal machines. Real Sociedad at 1.33, failing to score. Is it just too cold in Spain or something? Because these are not playing to the form lines, are they? Or at least the market's expectation. Looking on to today, and I hope to hop on later on, do a bit of trading, depending on how the matches eventuate. But we might be getting a touch of fatigue for these players. You can see by the struggles to score. This is the normal performances from the likes of AC Milan, Barcelona. You expect pre-Champions League, but we don't have that tomorrow. It's no excuse. There is no Champions League tomorrow and Wednesday. It's just the Europa Conference League. So it's an absolute mystery. AC Milan failing to score. Barcelona failing to score at 1.11. Bournemouth and West Ham. It's a difficult team to read. West Ham under Lopetegui. Which hammers turns up? Let's have a look at the soccer stats form. For what it's worth, you saw yesterday a lot of surprising results. Apart from Chelsea, let's be honest, they were very, very effective indeed. Let's have a look. You can probably tell it's sporadic for the Hammers, isn't it? Get an away win against West Ham, and then you lose to Leicester City when absolutely dominating the whole match. Heavy defeats away as well against Tottenham and Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth are on a run of 3 consecutive wins. Can they continue that? But the Ipswich win, well, expected to. But the Tottenham win, very interesting indeed. Solid defensive display. Do a bit of that today. beating Manchester City, beating Arsenal at home. They will have expectations today. That's for sure. West Ham, question mark. Which West Ham turns up? Simple as that. You'd be favouring Bournemouth on form, wouldn't you? Season-long form and that recent winning form. Surely the beating of Arsenal and Man City. Yes, it's a unique season. These Champions League sides have been heavily affected. But that's the kind of results that would give you belief. If the manager can instill that belief. We've got a big question mark here, though. But 13th to 19th. And you see the problems with the gaps in form. Everton hadn't played the top five, home or away. That ended with a 0-0 away at the Arsenal. So it's very important to have a gauge. I suppose you can look at this against 16th, 18th and 19th. And 2 goals against 11th away from home. Suggestive that they could do something at home. But a bit poor against 9th, 10th and 12th and playing 14th today. West Ham start coming alive against 12th and lower. They really shouldn't land a blow this evening or this afternoon, as you can tell there. Fleetwood and Accrington. Well, we can look. English League 2. Probably, I think Accrington could surprise goals-wise. At least that's what I remember of Accrington earlier on. We can get these adverts out of the way. Let's just have a quick look at this one. Fleetwood, only 1 win since the 5th of October, coming against Bradford. Accrington Stanley, as I allude to, 2-2-2-3. They do have goals in them. So just be wary of that. I did take on a Grimsby 3-0 lead because Accrington have 2 goals in them, but they decided to concede 2 more before they started scoring again. So there is that potential for over 2.5 goals with Accrington Stanley. That could be a nice neutral angle. Both teams have scored in the last 4 matches. They've scored in the last 6. They've scored 2+ goals in the last 3 away matches. So watch out. They could surprise today. It is 18th against 21st. Fleetwood, they're unbeaten against 7th and lower at home. Accrington, again, we've got that gap in form away. We don't know how they're going to perform against lower sides. Yes, they score in the 2 or 3 at home, but away, slight question mark. So again, we've got those gaps in form. They don't tend to appear at this stage of the season, but you've seen it with a few matches. The Everton one, a particular example. 7 out of 8 goals scored by Fleetwood have come in the first half. Watch out if you fancy a play and it's 0-0 after half an hour, have a go. Lay the 0-0 in the half-time score market. Accrington Stanley a far better second half. 10 of 13 goals scored come away. They do concede more second half as well. Could be a second half game for Accrington. Fleetwood might take a first half lead. So I would look at the half hour mark for Fleetwood and look to see if they can continue that goal scoring in the first half. So potential for goals here, particularly with Accrington, but a big question mark. They haven't yet played 17th or lower, really, away from home. Professional Development League. It's quite simply an over 2.5 goal league. PROFESS. 73% over 2.5 goals. As you can see there. 87% over 1.5 goals. That's a good stat for overs as well. So look out for that. And thanks to Paul, you can investigate the Professional Development League. Let's see. And you can home in on teams PROF, English Professional Development League. You can home in on the teams with the reputation for overs in an overs league. That makes sense, doesn't it? So let's see the teams today. Watford under 21s, Bristol City under 21s. Maybe put this alphabetical order. 85% overs for Watford overall. And for Bristol City, 58%. So a slight dip for Bristol City. You can just have a look at the last 8. see if they're in form recently with overs. Watford, 88% overs. And Bristol City, 62% overs. Then you can have a look at the home form for the home side, which will be Watford, 71% overs. And the away form for the away side, Bristol City, 60% overs. So just a slight dip. Bristol City stats. Is that enough to have you interested in over 2.5 goals? Cardiff and QPR already the market suggesting overs as well. But this is an over 2.5 goal league if you're interested in neutral plays like that. This is an Athenian derby in the Super League. We might see more underperformances like we saw AC Milan, Barcelona with Olympiacos. It's an Athenian derby, so I wouldn't be necessarily steaming in on Olympiacos at those odds. So just be wary. And they are underperforming. This is a derby-style match, Lazio and Inter Milan. I would equate this with the Manchester derby, but it's not a geographical derby. So in that regard, it's a little bit difficult to call. Besiktas and Galatasaray in the Super League would be the other teams to look at. I've done key stats for members, so we can see if I can find the key stats for you. This, I hope, will just give you a quick look into the match, and these are the stats and patterns that we've seen so far. So Bournemouth, for example, the stats are telling you they've beaten Arsenal, Man City and Tottenham recently, so that kind of momentum could see them okay today. West Ham have scored 6 of their 8 Premier League away goals after half-time. So if it's 0-0 at half-time, you might have a back of over 1.5 goals at evens or higher. First half goals been scored in Bournemouth's last 6 matches, so that could be an angle in as well. If you fancy an over 2.5 goal play in the first half and you trust that stat, wait for 15 minutes if it's 0-0, back over 2.5 goals at enhanced odds. It will have drifted. Get out if you get that first half goal. A nice bit of back to lay trading. Lazio and Inter Milan. Just bear in mind this is a derby style match, but Lazio have scored in the last 12. But Inter Milan have not conceded in the first 15 minutes of the second half. So good start second half. There's been at least 1 red card. No, Inter Milan have won 4 of the last 5 away league matches, scoring in both halves. So we might have a first half goal there, but this is going to be a far more tougher nut to crack. Braga, 100% of Braga home games have had an even total of goals, i.e. 2-0, 1-1, that kind of thing, suggesting an over 2.5 goals candidate. They've scored in the first half in the last 5 home matches. Can we wait 15 minutes and back over 2.5 goals at evens or higher? Well, you're going to get evens or higher, I hope, and then cash out with that first goal. 7 head-to-heads, finished with at least 3, so it looks a good 2.5 goal candidate based on the key stats. Rio Ave and Guimaraes. I like Guimaraes' goal scoring already. That's my personal opinion. They've seen a first half goal in the last 5 matches again. Can we trust that first half goal stat? And this is Adana Demirspor against Besiktas. Besiktas recently beating Fenerbahce. Hopefully they can launch off that. Adana Demirspor failed to keep a clean sheet in the last 11. So if they score first, they're highly likely to concede. That's what I would read into these key stats. This would be Fleetwood v Accrington. Accrington scoring is what would capture my attention here. The potential for Accrington to score 2 goals. Scored in the second half. We've noticed that, didn't we, at Soccer Stats? Fleetwood have drawn 56 of their home matches. Well, that's not really a key stat, is it? It's pretty much 50-50. So they're either going to draw or they're not. So that's a bit of a redundant stat, that. Been at least 1 red card in the last 5 minutes. Meetings between these two. That's really for you bookings, points, punters. Again, even total number of goals. Important bit of information, because it's not going to be 0-0, is it? It's not going to be 1-0. It's not going to be 0-1. So you've got a good foundation for over 2.5 goals there. So that's the key stats. I hope members find it useful. It's normally my day off. I don't have any golf on today, but I am interested in some of the football. We're going to have to tread warily. You've seen underperformances from big boys, like Champions League performances. Aston Villa losing again, for example. Man City losing. Barcelona failing to score. AC Milan failing to score. So there will be an upset or two. But it looks a very quietish coupon, probably hopping on about 7:45. So it'd be nice and efficient. 7:45 to about 10 o'clock. And you'll pick up 1, 2, 4 matches at least. So I hope to see you a bit later on. I don't have any plans at the moment, but you never know with family. It looks a quiet Monday coupon. That's all I'll say about that. Premier League has been a little difficult to call, but neutral players have been advantaged because you don't pin your hopes to the mast, do you? That's why we made that money with Ipswich and Wolves the other day. Both teams scoring and over 2.5 goals coming in all. Not both teams to score, but over 2.5 coming in all Premier League matches. We could have foreseen that, couldn't we, with that both teams to score pattern for Brentford away against the top 10, tending to lose. But this Chelsea are purring at the moment. Have a great day. I hope to see you later on. I will pop on at 7:45, but expect a quiet evening, I would suspect. It's not the most readable coupon on the planet, and we are getting some upsets now from the big guns, maybe down to the winter schedule. Have a great day. And don't forget, if you fancy looking at the research for the weekend, footballtradingprofits.com/free trial offer. We try to include as many of the stats as we can with the Premier League research, including 2.5 goals for you neutral players, because neutral can often be the best route, particularly during this Christmas schedule. Have a great day.